John O'Connor joins us right now. He's a legal analyst and author of Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy. John, we had a great conversation last week when you were on, and now it seems like, and I broke down the numbers. I'm a Wall Street guy, so I broke down the numbers from an actuarial side. I used to be on New York State Governor David Paterson's pension reform task force, where we were charged with looking at all of the danger zones in the New York State pension plan. And a lot of these folks who were in the nursing homes are New York State public employees, unfortunately, from years ago. And it seems like the more of them that died, the more it helped the governor patch up a hole in the pension plan, because these people, went away 10 or 15 years earlier than expected. Now the Justice Department opens an investigation into this nursing home scandal. What are you hearing?
Well, Barr is pretty tight-lipped about it, and right now they're just trying to get information from the state on this and the whys and wherefores of this. But I'll tell you this, it is very hard to defend a policy in which you are deliberately killing people. You may not know exactly which ones, but it's the equivalent of shooting a machine gun into a crowd. You're going to kill someone, and that is deemed murder under our laws. If you went out and did that right now, you'd be in jail, and perhaps you'd get capital punishment. Cuomo does this, and I suppose what he does is he fills up his nursing homes and collects Medicare from the federal government, and as you say, people die, and now he doesn't have to pay pensions. So it's a win-win for Cuomo and the state. Now, of course, if you care about your mother in the nursing home, maybe it's not great for you, but it's fine for Cuomo. So this is the height of man's inhumanity to man, and I hope the heck they do something here.
Yeah, there's, I talked about this way back in the beginning. There's this thing that the government uses called the value of statistical life. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, maybe in a damage model or something, right? And the value. Right.
I used to do tobacco litigation, by the way. We're quite familiar with that.
Right. Yeah. So the VSL is, well, how much will it cost for those of you guys watching at home? How much will it cost the government and the companies to enact this, and how many people will it save? And then that ratio is the value of a statistical life for a rule or a regulation or change or something. And I have ventured to push out there publicly that Governor Cuomo did a VSL on pensioners in nursing homes and figured out that they were worth a lot more to him and the state dead than alive. So it was almost a bizarro VSL calculation.
Well, that's right. And that's what sometimes happens in litigation and companies' determination of policies. If you sometimes would rather have a dead plaintiff than a live one, and it's just too bad. Where I would like to see this go, John, is I would like to see the Justice Department make New York pay to the survivors' families. I'm sorry, to the families of the decedents. I'm sorry, make them pay damages, and get the state to concede liability, which I think a civil rights suit could do and could be used as estoppel in the next litigation, so that the state would then have to pay for these deaths, and the calculus you point out would no longer be profitable to New York. That's what I'm really saying.
Right. And by the way, if that ever happened where it came down to like a one-time payment, and if the 40% of the New York deaths that were in nursing home, if some even 10 or 20% of them were New York State pensioners and they had to get paid a lump sum payout, it might blow up the whole pension plan. With the amount of cops taking early retirement and the amount of teachers going for early retirement, people don't realize this whole pension plan could collapse the way I see it. Yeah.
I've done look at some of the California pensions, and they're just not sustainable as they are. But then when you have something like COVID coming in, it's going to topple the system quicker than it's doomed to do now.
I mean, Andrew Cuomo has been absolutely spot on throughout his career of squashing every investigation into him. He's fantastic. He actually started the Moreland Commission to look into, government participants and shady backroom deals and all this stuff. And as soon as the Moreland Commission focused on him, he disbanded the whole thing. Thankfully, his right-hand man, Joe Percoco, wound up in jail in the Buffalo Billions scandal. And this was his right-hand man, his driver, his consigliere, the guy who was with him every single day, is in jail right now. The three men in the room were Sheldon Silver and on Dean Skelos were on the Republican side, the Assembly and the Senate. The three men in the room were Cuomo, Skelos, and also Silver. And Sheldon Silver and Dean Skelos are in jail right now. So it seems like everyone that's right up to the corners of Andrew Cuomo are in jail. So maybe if one investigation goes through to DOJ, maybe they'll get him.
Well, yeah, and Cuomo exemplifies what we would call progressive rule, socialist rule. Do as we say, not as we do. The leaders supposedly are protecting the people, the proletariat, but guess what? The leaders don't treat themselves that way. So now we have people that are urging campaign against global warming, and you find flying corporate jets around. And of course, you have Andrew Cuomo decrying all kinds of corruption except his own. So that's what we've got, and that's the problem with this form of governance.
Can I had a really high-level public interest attorney, John Banzhaf, on a little earlier, and we were talking about this Mike Flynn thing, right? And
right.
I know some of the best attorneys around. Lee Armstrong from Jones Day, Jeffrey Lichtman, David Schoen. I know some of the best guys around. And I ask them, just tell me this. And then, real lawyers are deliberate. Like, they know the deal. All right, well, I can understand a little bit of this and a little bit. And I've said, like, the regular man thing, non-lawyer. Have you ever seen a judge in a criminal case tell the prosecutors, no, you cannot dismiss this case? Have you ever seen that?
No, I used to be a prosecutor. No, if you decide to dismiss a case, usually a judge, claps his hands and says, great, I've closed this case and everybody's agreeable and let's get on with it. This is clearly a personal vendetta by Judge Sullivan. The ruling in this case, though, was not, it extended Flynn's torture, as the Wall Street Journal said today, because now Sullivan is allowed to finish his examination, and if he rules against Flynn's dismissal, then it can be appealed. This was something of a technical decision. I suppose they wanted to give a win to Sullivan. He's their buddy. He's their
right. He's engaging in judicial activism. Yay, Emmett, you stood up to them.
Right, exactly. And they'll give him a win, but he better allow the dismissal, is what I would say, because he's going to get reversed. There's a very good case right on point by a Judge Srinivasan, who's an Obama appointee, a brilliant guy. Lawrence Silverman, a brilliant Republican guy, were on the same panel, and they said, no, if the prosecution and the defense both want to dismiss the case, the judge has no business stopping it.
Right. And I'm thinking like, being an Italian guy from Staten Island, I've seen a bunch of people get into it with federal law enforcement, and I've watched from afar. But I'm thinking when the government says we want to dismiss this case, the one thing they're hoping for is that the judge doesn't want to look into what kind of crap they did to bring this case before him in the first place. They will just want to get out of there clean, because if you bring it all the way to trial and then say dismiss, you wasted a heck of a lot of everyone's time. So you don't want to be looked at. These guys are actually, dragging this thing out. I'd like to look at them.
Well, right. It's costing us all a lot of money. And of course, this thing is breaking poor Flynn. I don't know if his great attorney is charging him or not, but boy, this whole thing is a farce, because it was an entrapment from the get-go on Flynn. They knew exactly what they said. He had a transcript. Why are they doing this? It's only to trap him.
Yep.
It's a really special.
Soft coup. All right, Johnny O'Connor, thank you so much, man. You're always great, and I appreciate you taking a little time to be with us. You the man. John
Hey,
O'Connor.
John.
He's author
Good talking to you.
Same to you. Author of Postgate, Washington Post. He traded deep throat, covered up Watergate, and began today's partisan advocacy.